So I actually applied to the graduate training schemes of a number of big companies, and I joined Unilever. And as I said, I joined their international research department. I had such a varied and wacky experience there that I actually stayed there for 11 years. Unilever was a very, very good employer, and particularly a very, very good trainer, both in the form of formal training courses and training programs, but also in the sort of experience and exposure that a big company like that, was able to give.
I was enormously fortunate, I think, to get on a graduate fast-track training programme when I graduated. It's with Procter & Gamble. And I was enormously fortunate to get this job as a sales exec, becoming an area manager on their fast-track graduate programme. I wouldn't look back, and I would do that again in terms of having really a strong sales skill set, which has stayed with me. And having a blue chip organisation like that on your CV, certainly immediately after graduation, is a really great thing. In a big company, you are naturally going to be more exposed to more experts because it's just bigger. Yeah. So if you did have the opportunity early on in your career to join a bigger organisation, you could just be more exposed to finance things, ops things, etc., that you might not in a smaller organisation. Okay. And so I think you're more likely to learn more quickly, even if finally your ultimate resting ground isn't a big company. If you do get a chance to get onto a graduate programme or just work in a big organisation, I think it's a really useful training ground.
I actually applied to Ernst & Young to do a graduate kind of sort of research associate job, which is really to support the logistics and distribution kind of function they had. I spent 5 years with Ernst & Young. A very good people organisation. They really do focus on you as an individual and investing in you in terms of some very solid capabilities, anything from presentation skills to report writing to analytical approaches, etc. And what we were really, as graduates, we were leg men for the consultants. So we would do the interviewing, we would do the spreadsheet bashing, and the late night kind of burning the midnight oil to produce presentations, etc. And it was a really good learning experience. And kind of give me a good grounding in terms of how to interact with people, how to analyse issues and problem solving, etc. Also gave me a chance to do a bit of training for other people. I learnt how to be a trainer, that sort of thing. So that was good.
So I graduated from the University of Manchester with a 2:1 degree in microbiology. I then went on to do the Tesco graduate scheme. So within that I did buying and also development. So I bought pet food, which was a great experience, and then I developed home baking, which was such a fantastic area to get involved in. When I joined Tesco, it was very much a food buying scheme. So actually, and I chose that because I wanted to be specific, and I actually think the broader schemes are great because it does give you a little taster of all the different areas. But I think once you get into an area, often you know whether it's right or not for you. So you can, as long as you are able to understand what it is exactly you want and talk to the right people, you can work your way around different departments. I just knew that I really wanted to be in food. I think what element of food I wasn't quite sure, which is where the top Times 100 graduate schemes helped, and actually identify retailers was a great place for me to start. For me, it was all about that top Times 100 graduate schemes. That was definitely my starter, and I just went through all of those, looked at all the retailers, and then understood what programs they had. So actually it was people like Aldi had a graduate scheme, but that was if you wanted to become a store manager, and I knew that wasn't for me. But then when you looked at people like Tesco and Asda, actually had a great selection of different options. So that's where I kind of started my search.
I pretty much went on the Times top 100 grad schemes and just started plodding through them, making a lot of applications. I was quite methodical with the way I did it, actually, and I'd recommend that to anyone who's going down the same path of random applications. And so I had a Excel spreadsheet, and I had sort of columns for what stage I was at with the applications.
So you can keep track of everything, yeah.
Yeah. So it would be sort of like Barclays through to round 2, Unilever rejected, that sort of thing. And I did a red, amber, green kind of report.
Sounds really good.
There was that many. Yeah, I think I probably applied to about 60 odd. But my mum had just set up a small business, and she had a spare office in the office that she worked in. So I actually went into work with her every day and applied sort of 9 to 5 or whatever it was, which I would recommend as well, because otherwise you can end up sort of just getting up late and doing one application and
I would chase absolutely everything, and then I'd love the one that you're with. I would fall in love with the one that you get. There is absolutely definitely something about being resilient and keeping going, and it's not you, it's them, because it typically is.
In some situations you need to fit in to stand out, and I think sometimes you need to understand where you're going into, understand the culture you're going into, a little bit about the company message, the brand, and how they speak to their audience, and a little bit about their market, because the next process is to have an interview, a telephone interview, and if you don't know your stuff, or you don't show us if you know your stuff, or you've done your research, it's not going to happen for you. It's just making sure you do what they need you to do, because otherwise, if you don't, you're out of the process.